My daughter-in-law left her phone at our house. It rang, and the caller ID showed a photo of my wife who died 5 years ago. My hands shook as I opened the message, and in one sentence, my entire marriage snapped into focus. Can't wait for Sunday dinner at your father-in-law's again. Love watching him serve us while we play footsie under his table. The message glowed on the screen. The sender's name was just S, but the contact photo showed my wife Sarah, my Sarah, dead for 5 years, 3 months, and 17 days. But the message was new, sent 2 minutes ago. 3:47 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. I'm Thomas Gardner, 61 years old, widower, retired high school history teacher, father to 1 son, Mark, 33, grandfather to 2 beautiful girls, ages 5 and 7, and I was standing in my kitchen holding my daughter-in-law Emma's iPhone 13, which she'd left on my counter after lunch, staring at a text message that was about to destroy everything I thought I knew about my family. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. The screen dimmed. I tapped it back to life. The photo of Sarah stared at me. It was from our trip to Cabo in 2015, 4 years before the diagnosis, before the chemo, before I watched her waste away over 18 months of suffering. She was smiling in that photo, tan, happy, wearing the blue sundress I'd bought her for her birthday. Why was her photo on Emma's phone as a contact? I scrolled up. Months of messages, maybe years. The thread seemed endless. Your father-in-law is so clueless, thinks I'm the perfect son-in-law. My stomach dropped. Son-in-law. Mark was my son-in-law to no one. He was my son, which meant I scrolled faster. My vision blurred. My breath came in short gasps. She suspects nothing. Your mom's too trusting. We're safe. The timestamp, June 2018. Sarah was alive then. Sick, but alive. We'd just started her second round of chemo. He's at the hospital again. Coast is clear. Bring wine. July 2018. I remembered that month. Sarah's oncologist had increased her treatments to twice weekly. I'd practically lived at Riverside Memorial Hospital, and someone had been in my house, bringing wine. I kept reading, kept scrolling. Each message was a knife twisting deeper. Your mom asked me today if I thought you were happy. I told her you'd never been better. Should have seen her face. So relieved. Meanwhile, I'm counting the hours until your dad leaves for his Wednesday hospital visits. Did you see how he teared up when I called Sarah the strongest woman I know? God, he eats this shit up. Makes it so easy. 3 more months, the doctor said. 3 more months of playing the devoted husband and then we're free. Well, you're free. I'm already free. He thinks I'm at book club. I grabbed the counter. The granite was cold under my palm. The kitchen spun. Emma had been having an affair during Sarah's illness in my house while I sat by my dying wife's bedside. But with who? I scrolled back further. Found it in a message from March 2017. Steve, I can't keep doing this. What if Thomas finds out? What if Sarah finds out? Steve, my brother Steve. The phone slipped from my hands, clattered on the tile floor. The screen didn't crack. I picked it up with numb fingers. My brother, my younger brother, 57 years old, married to Linda for 32 years. The man who'd stood next to me at Sarah's funeral and held me while I cried. The man who came to Sunday dinners every single week and sat at my table and ate my food and looked me in the eye. The man who'd been fucking my daughter-in-law for at least 7 years. I sat down hard in one of the kitchen chairs, the same chairs Sarah had picked out 12 years ago at that furniture store in Pasadena. The same table where we'd hosted every family holiday, every birthday, every Sunday dinner for the last decade. The messages were everywhere, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. I forced myself to keep reading, forced myself to see it all. April 2017. Your guest room bed is way more comfortable than mine. Maybe I should tell Linda we need to upgrade. May 2017. He asked me today to help him pick out flowers for Sarah's hospital room. I helped him choose sunflowers. Then I went to your house and fucked his brother. I'm going to hell. August 2017. She's getting worse. Doc says maybe 6 months now. I feel like a monster, but also, I keep thinking about after, about not having to hide. October 2017. Thomas cried at dinner tonight. Just broke down talking about how grateful he is for family. Steve, I can't do this anymore. This is too cruel. November the 2017. Forget what I said last week. I'm in. We're in. Linda suspects nothing. Mark suspects nothing. Your dad is so buried in grief he can't see 2 feet in front of him. We're golden. Sarah died December 3rd, 2018. I remembered every second of that day. The way her breathing changed. The way her hand went cold in mine. The way Steve showed up at the hospital at 2 a.m. because I'd called him sobbing. He'd held me in the parking lot, let me collapse against him, driven me home because I couldn't see through the tears. And 5 days later, according to these messages, he was back in Emma's bed. December 8th, 2018. I know it's too soon, but I needed to see you. Thomas is barely functional. He won't notice. Meet me at the usual spot. I wanted to vomit, wanted to scream, wanted to put my fist through the wall. Instead, I took photos of everything. I'd been a history teacher for 34 years. I knew how to document evidence. I knew how to build a case. I knew how to be methodical even when everything inside me was screaming. I connected Emma's phone to my laptop, a MacBook Pro, password protected, which I unlocked using the guest access I'd set up years ago. I backed up the entire message thread, every photo, every text. 7 years of betrayal, now stored in 3 separate locations. My laptop, laptop, my external hard drive, and my cloud storage. Then I went through my own photos, found pictures from the last 7 years, looked at them with new eyes. There, Christmas 2017. Sarah was in her wheelchair, wearing that green sweater that hung off her skeletal frame. She was smiling weakly at the camera, and in the background, barely visible, Emma and Steve stood next to the punch bowl. His hand was on her lower back. How had I not seen it? Easter 2018. Sarah in her bed. We'd set it up in the living room by then because she couldn't handle stairs. The family gathered around her. Emma and Steve at opposite ends of the room, not even looking at each other, overcorrecting, making sure no one noticed. 4th of July 2018, our last one together. Sarah managed to come outside for an hour, sat in her favorite lawn chair and watched the neighborhood kids with sparklers. I'd taken a photo of the whole family. Emma was checking her phone, smiling at the screen. I'd thought she was looking at something Mark sent. Now I knew better. I kept working, made a timeline, cross-referenced the messages with my calendar, found the patterns. Wednesday afternoons, my standing hospital visit slot with Sarah from 2 to 6 p.m. 18 entries in Emma's messages about Wednesday afternoons when the coast is clear. Saturday mornings, my grocery shopping time. He's at Trader Joe's. We have 2 hours. Book club. Emma's monthly book club met the second Thursday of every month. Except, according to these messages, she hadn't been to book club since March 2017. She'd been with Steve, in hotels, in his car, in my house. I worked for 4 hours straight, didn't eat, didn't drink water, just documented everything with the methodical precision of someone who's taught research methodology to 17-year-olds for 3 decades. At 8:47 p.m., my phone rang. Emma. Thomas, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I think I left my phone at your place. I've been looking everywhere. My voice was steady, calm. I haven't seen it, but I'll take a look around. Oh, could you? I'm losing my mind. It has to be there. I remember having it when we had lunch. I'll check and call you back. I hung up, looked at her phone still connected to my laptop. The backup was complete. I called her back. Found it. Kitchen counter. Oh, thank God. I'll come grab it. It's late. Get it tomorrow. I'm heading to bed anyway. Are you sure? I can be there in 20? Emma. My voice was firm. Tomorrow is fine. Silence. Then, okay, thanks, Thomas. I'll stop by tomorrow morning. I put her phone back on the counter, exactly where she'd left it. Wiped my fingerprints off the screen with my sleeve. Then I made 2 calls. First call, Jennifer Martinez, attorney, 31 years practicing family law in California. She'd handled Sarah's will. I trusted her. Thomas, it's almost 9 p.m. Is everything okay? I need to see you first thing Monday morning. I have evidence of an extramarital affair that involves my daughter-in-law and my brother. I need to know my son's rights. Pause. Your brother and your daughter-in-law? Yes. Jesus, Thomas. Okay. Monday, 9 a.m. Bring everything you have. I will. Second call, Dr. Patricia Morrison, grief counselor, PhD in clinical psychology, 26 years in practice. I'd seen her for 8 months after Sarah died. She'd saved my life when I wanted to follow my wife into whatever came after. Thomas, it's been a while. How are you? I need an emergency session. Can you see me tomorrow? Her voice changed immediately. Professional. Alert. What happened? I can't talk about it over the phone. Please. Tomorrow. Come at 10. I'll make room. I hung up, sat in my kitchen. In the house I'd shared with Sarah for 33 years. The house where we'd brought Mark home from the hospital. The house where we'd hosted every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, every birthday party. The house where my brother had fucked my daughter-in-law while my wife was dying. The pot roast Sarah used to make every Sunday was in my refrigerator. I'd learned her recipe after she died, made it every week for our family dinners. Sunday dinners that had continued for 5 years after her death because I wanted to keep her tradition alive. Sunday dinners where Steve and Emma sat at my table, ate my food, and smiled at me like nothing was wrong. Sunday dinner was in 2 days, our weekly family tradition. Mark and Emma and their daughters, Steve and Linda, every week for 5 years. Before that, during Sarah's illness, probably for the entire 7 years of their affair. This Sunday would be different. I spent Saturday preparing, not just food, evidence. I drove to FedEx office, printed every message, every photo they'd sent each other, and there were photos. God, there were so many photos I'd had to stop looking at them. Organized everything chronologically in 3 manila folders, one for Jennifer, one for Linda, one for the dinner. Then I went to see Dr. Morrison. She listened for 90 minutes while I laid it all out. She didn't interrupt, just let me talk. Let me show her the screenshots I'd saved on my phone. Let me rage and cry and curse. How do you want to handle this? She asked when I finished. I want them to face what they've done. I want everyone to know. My voice broke. I want them to hurt like I'm hurting. That's valid. But Thomas, you need to think about Mark, about your granddaughters, about Linda. There are innocent people here. I know. That's why I'm talking to you first instead of just burning everything down. What's your plan? I told her. She listened, made suggestions, helped me think through consequences. This is going to destroy your family, she warned. It's already destroyed. I'm just making sure everyone knows it. I called Linda that night, Steve's wife of 32 years, mother to their 2 grown children, the woman who'd brought casseroles after Sarah died, who'd held my hand at the funeral. Linda, I need you to come to Sunday dinner early before everyone else arrives. I have something important to show you. Is everything okay? No, but I need you to see this before the others get there. Please, trust me. Of course, Thomas. What time? 2 p.m. Dinner's at 4. Sunday arrived. I cooked like normal. Pot roast, roasted vegetables. Sarah Sarah's recipe, the same meal I'd made 100 times since she died. Linda arrived at 2:03 p.m. She was wearing a blue cardigan and khaki pants. Her gray hair was pulled back in a bun. She looked exactly like what she was, a kind 60-year-old grandmother who taught elementary school and volunteered at the library. "Thomas, you're scaring me. What's going on?" I handed her the folder, the one marked Linda. "I need you to look at this before everyone arrives. I'm so sorry." She opened it. The first page was a printout of the contact photo, Sarah's smiling face with the name S underneath. "I don't understand. Why does Emma have Sarah's photo?" Then she saw the messages underneath. Her face went white, then red, then white again. She read in silence for 5 minutes, 10, 15. I stood by the window and watched her hands shake, watched tears start streaming down her face. "How long have you known?" she whispered. 2 days. 2 days, she laughed. It sounded broken. "I've suspected for years. Years, Thomas. But I told myself I was paranoid. Told myself Steve wouldn't do that. Not with Emma. Not during—" She choked. "Not while Sarah was dying. You suspected?" "Little things. The way he looked at her. The way she'd leave right after he did. How he was always volunteering to help you with things at your house. I thought I was crazy. Thought grief was making me see things that weren't there. You weren't crazy. 32 years. Her voice was hollow. "We've been married 32 years. We have 2 children, 4 grandchildren. And he's been, for 7 years, he's been—" She couldn't finish. Just sat there crying. I wanted to comfort her, but didn't know how. We were both victims of the same betrayal. "What are you going to do?" she asked finally. "Everyone's coming at 4. I'm going to show them what I found. I'm giving you the choice to stay or leave." "I'm staying." Her voice was steel. "I'm staying, and I'm watching him squirm." Emma and Mark arrived at 3:47 p.m. My granddaughters burst through the door first, squealing about something that happened at school. Emma followed, carrying a pie. Mark had a bottle of wine. "Hey, Dad," Mark said, hugging me. "House smells amazing." "Sarah's recipe," I said, like always. Emma kissed my cheek. "Thanks for finding my phone yesterday. I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached." I smiled, said nothing. Steve arrived at 3:52 p.m., alone. "Linda's already here," I explained. "She came early to help." "Oh." He hugged me, slapped my back. "Good to see you, brother. How was your week?" "Educational," I said. We all sat down. The girls at the kids' table I'd set up in the living room. The adults at the dining room table. The same table where we'd eaten hundreds of meals together. Normal, small talk. Emma talked about her promotion at work. She was a marketing director now, making good money. Steve talked about his golf game. He'd shot an 87 last weekend. Mark talked about his daughter's school projects. I let them get comfortable, poured wine, served food, played the role I'd played for 5 years, the grieving widower grateful for his family's company. Then I stood up. "I want to make a toast," I said. Everyone raised their glasses. Even Linda. Her face was composed, calm. No one would guess she'd spent the last 2 hours crying in my guest room. "To family," I started. My voice was steady. "To the people we trust most in the world, the people who are supposed to have our backs." They smiled, clinked glasses. "To my late wife Sarah, who died believing she was surrounded by people who loved her." The smiles faded slightly. Emma shifted in her seat. "And to the 2 people at this table who were screwing each other in my guest room while she was dying in a hospital bed." The room went silent. Completely silent. Even the girls in the next room stopped talking. Emma's face went pale. Steve's fork clattered to his plate. "Dad, what are you—" Mark started. I threw the folder on the table. Photos scattered across the pot roast. Screenshots of messages, printouts of their texts. 7 years of evidence landing among the mashed potatoes and green beans. 7 years, I said. My voice was shaking now. 7 years of messages. Thousands of them. Every Wednesday while I sat with my dying wife. Every Saturday while I grocery shopped for this family. Every fucking Sunday while I cooked dinner and pretended everything was fine. Linda stood up, grabbed one of the photos, a particularly explicit one, Emma and Steve in a hotel room. She held it up with shaking hands. "This is you," she said to Steve, her voice breaking. With her. How long? How long have I been the fool?" "Linda, I can explain." "Explain this?" She threw the photo at him. It hit his chest, fell into his plate. "Or this one where you're mocking your dying sister-in-law. Or this one where you're talking about how stupid Thomas is. Explain that." Emma tried to grab her phone from her purse. I held up my hand. "Looking for this?" I pulled it from my pocket. "I've had it since Friday. You should really use a better passcode than your wedding anniversary, which, by the way," I pulled out another sheet of paper. "You were already cheating on before the ink dried. April 2015. 6 months after you married my son. First message to S about meeting up while Mark was at a conference." Mark grabbed the folder, started reading. His face changed with every page, from confusion to disbelief to rage. "Emma," he said quietly, too quietly, "tell me this isn't real." She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Her eyes filled with tears. "Tell me you didn't fuck my uncle. Tell me you didn't use my dead mother's photo as his contact. Tell me you didn't laugh about my father while he was grieving." "Mark, tell me!" He slammed his fist on the table. The wine glasses jumped. In the living room, one of the girls started crying. Emma burst into tears. "It just happened. We didn't mean for it to— You didn't mean for it to last 7 years?" Mark's voice was ice. "You didn't mean to fuck him in our bed? In my father's house? In the guest room where my mother used to sleep when she couldn't handle the stairs?" He stood up, grabbed his keys from the counter. "Mark, please." Emma reached for him. Don't touch me. He pulled away. I'm filing tomorrow. You can have the house. I want my daughters, and I never want to see you again. Mark, wait. He didn't wait. Walked to the living room. Girls, get your coats. We're leaving. But Daddy, we didn't finish. Now, sweetheart. We're going to Grandpa's for a while. He scooped up both girls, walked out without looking back. The front door slammed. Steve tried to leave too. Linda blocked him. You don't get to run, she said. Sit down. He sat. For the next hour, the longest hour of my life, I made them read every message, out loud, in front of Linda and me. Every cruel joke about Sarah. She's so out of it on morphine she called me sweetheart today. I played along. Thomas cried he was so happy she was still herself. Meanwhile, all I could think about was your tongue every time they'd laughed at me. He asked me if I thought Emma was happy with Mark. I said, absolutely, they're perfect together. He smiled and said I was a good judge of character. I'm going to hell. Every detail of their affair in my home. Your guest room shower is incredible. You should tell Thomas to get one. Oh wait, you can't, because then he'd ask why you know about his shower. Every Wednesday, every Saturday, every Sunday they'd betrayed me while I grieved. Another Sunday dinner done. Another week of watching him serve us pot roast while I remember what we did in his house on Wednesday. This is so fucked up, but I can't stop. Emma cried the whole time, mascara running down her face in black streaks, begging, saying it meant nothing, saying she loved Mark, saying she was sorry. Steve stayed silent, just read in a monotone. His face was gray, hands shaking so badly he could barely hold the papers. When they finished, when they'd read every single message I'd marked, Linda stood up. I've already called my lawyer, she said. Janet Peterson, she's been my friend for 20 years, handles high-conflict divorces. She's going to love this. Linda's smile was terrifying. I'll have papers ready by Wednesday. I want the house, the cars, half your pension, and every single person we know is going to see these messages. Linda, please, I hope she was worth it. Linda grabbed her purse. 32 years, 2 children, 4 grandchildren. Our reputation in this community. Everything. I hope it was worth 7 years of fucking your brother's daughter-in-law. She walked out. Her heels clicked on my hardwood floor. The door closed with a soft click. Steve stood up. Thomas, get out of my house. We're brothers. We can fix. We were brothers. My voice didn't rise, didn't shake, just went cold. You died to me the day you touched her. You died to me every time you sat at my table and looked me in the eye. You died to me when you held me at Sarah's funeral while planning your next meeting with her. I loved Sarah. Get out. He left, grabbed his coat, didn't look at Emma, just left. Emma sat there, alone, crying, mascara everywhere. The blue sundress she was wearing, the same shade as the one Sarah wore in that Cabo photo, was soaked with tears and wine she'd spilled when Mark slammed the table. You're a monster, she finally said. I almost laughed. No, a monster is someone who fucks their husband's uncle in their dead mother-in-law's house. A monster is someone who uses a dead woman's photo as a contact for their affair partner. A monster is someone who mocks a man dying of grief while actively causing that grief. We didn't mean to hurt you. You just didn't care if you did. That's worse. I walked to the front door, opened it. Get out of my house. Don't come back. Don't call me. Don't contact Mark unless it's through lawyers. And if you ever try to keep my granddaughters from me, I will make sure every person in this city knows exactly what you are. She stood up, grabbed her purse. Her pie was still on the counter, untouched. She stumbled toward the door. Thomas, that's Mr. Gardner to you. She flinched, walked out, got in her car, sat there for 10 minutes before driving away. I cleaned up the dinner, threw away the pot roast nobody ate, washed the dishes, put away the photos and printouts, methodical, calm. Then I sat in my living room, in the chair where Sarah used to sit during her last months, and I cried. Not for Emma, not for Steve, not even for the family dinners that would never happen again. For Sarah, for the fact that she died believing these people loved her, for the fact that she'd spent her last month surrounded by liars who were waiting for her to die. My phone rang. Mark. Dad, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I should have. You have nothing to apologize for, son. The girls and I are at a hotel. I called Jennifer Martinez. She's going to represent me in the divorce. Dad, I'm keeping the girls. Emma doesn't get to. I know. We'll make sure of it. How long have you known? 2 days. 2 days and you. Jesus, Dad. That dinner must have taken everything you had. It did. But they needed to answer for what they did. I love you. And Dad, Mom would be proud of you. I didn't know about that, but I let him think it. The next morning, I went to see Jennifer Martinez, brought all the evidence. She'd already talked to Mark. This is one of the most clear-cut alienation of affection cases I've ever seen, she said, scrolling through the messages. Mark has grounds for full custody. Emma's affair, combined with the evidence she engaged in inappropriate behavior around the children. These messages reference meeting up when she was supposed to be taking the girls to activities. It's damning. What about Steve and Linda? Linda's already filed. She retained Janet Peterson, who's absolutely ruthless. Steve's going to lose everything. The house is in both their names, but with this evidence of infidelity, the judge will likely award Linda the majority of assets. Plus, Steve's a partner at Morrison & Associates, the accounting firm. This kind of scandal could cost him his career. Firms don't like partners who sleep with family members. Good. She looked at me carefully. Thomas, how are you doing? Really? I don't know. I'm angry, hurt, betrayed, but also relieved. I kept thinking something was off these last few years. Little things I couldn't explain. fine. Now I know I wasn't crazy. You weren't crazy. They were gaslighting you. Both of them. For 7 years. The fallout was spectacular. Mark filed for divorce on Monday. Filed for full custody on Tuesday. Emma's lawyer tried to fight it, but the evidence was overwhelming. The messages, the photos, the proof she'd lied about her whereabouts when she was supposed to be caring for the children. The custody hearing was 6 weeks later. I testified. Read some of the messages into court record. Watched Emma's lawyer try to spin it as a mistake and a lapse in judgment. The judge, Honorable Patricia Chen, 28 years on the bench, wasn't buying it. Ms. Gardner, you engaged in a 7-year affair with your husband's uncle. You used your deceased mother-in-law's photograph as a contact for your affair partner. You lied to your husband, your father-in-law, and by extension, your children about your whereabouts hundreds of times. This court finds that you lack the moral character and judgment necessary for primary custody. Mark got full custody. Emma got supervised visitation every other weekend. She'd have to see a therapist and prove she was addressing her issues before getting more time. Steve and Linda's divorce was even messier. Linda got the house, both cars, and 60% of his pension. She also got to keep all their mutual friends, who, when they heard about the affair, sided with her immediately. Steve lost his partnership at Morrison & Associates. The firm didn't fire him outright. Couldn't, legally, but they made it clear he should seek employment elsewhere. He resigned 3 weeks later. The community found out, because of course they did. Linda told her friends. Emma's lawyer made filings that were public record. And in a town of 50,000 people, secrets don't keep. Steve and Emma were toxic, pariahs. The people who'd been at church with them for years crossed the street to avoid them. The neighbors who'd known them for decades stopped waving. I didn't take pleasure in their suffering, just acknowledged it. Justice isn't always satisfying. Sometimes it's just consequences finally catching up. 6 months after that Sunday dinner, I was sitting in Dr. Morrison's office. "How are you doing?" she asked. "Better. Mark and the girls moved in with me. We're figuring out a new normal. And your relationship with Mark? Stronger than ever. He's angry. At Emma, at Steve, at himself for not seeing it. But we're working through it. He's in therapy too. Have you heard from Steve or Emma? Emma texts sometimes, asking to see the girls more. I ignore them. Steve tried to call once. I blocked him. Do you think you'll ever forgive them? I thought about that. I don't know. Maybe someday. But I don't need to forgive them to move forward. I just need to let go of the anger. Are you there yet? Getting closer. I was too. Slowly. I'd started dating. Nothing serious, just coffee with a woman I'd met at the library named Carol. Retired librarian, widow. She'd lost her husband 4 years ago. We understood each other. The Sunday dinners continued. Just different. Mark, the girls, and me. Sometimes Carol joined us. Sometimes Linda came. She and I had become friends and shared grief. We'd both been betrayed by the same people. It bonded us. One Sunday, 7 months after the revelation, my granddaughter Sophia, she was 6 now, asked me, "Grandpa, why doesn't Mommy come to Sunday dinner anymore?" Mark tensed, looked at me. I nodded. "Because Mommy did something that hurt our family," I said carefully. "And sometimes when people hurt us, we need space from them to heal. Like when Ella pushed me on the playground and I didn't want to play with her anymore." Exactly like that. "Oh, okay." She went back to her pot roast, Sarah's recipe, the same one I'd made that last disastrous dinner. I'd thought about stopping, making something else, but I kept making it, because Sarah deserved to be remembered for more than the lies told around her deathbed. Last Sunday I got a letter from Steve, handwritten. "Thomas, I know you probably won't read this. I wouldn't if I were you, but I need to try. I'm sorry. I know that's not enough. Nothing will ever be enough. What I did was unforgivable. I betrayed you, Sarah, Linda, Mark, everyone. I was selfish and cruel, and I deserve everything I've lost. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even want it. I just wanted you to know that not a day goes by that I don't hate myself for what I did to you. To our family, I love Sarah. I know you don't believe that, but I did. And watching her die while doing what I was doing, it destroyed something in me. I can't explain why I didn't stop, why I kept going. I was weak, cowardly. You were the better brother. Always were. I'm sorry, Steve." I read it once. Then I burned it in my fireplace. Watched the paper curl and blacken and turn to ash. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe someday I'd tell him I forgave him, but not today. Today I had pot roast to make, grandkids to feed, a life to rebuild from the wreckage they'd created. Today I was just Thomas Gardner, 62 years old, widower, father, grandfather, survivor. They'd thought I was the clueless one, the grieving husband too blind to see what was happening under his own roof. They were wrong. I saw everything, and I made sure everyone else did too. Sarah used to say that the truth always comes out, that secrets have a way of surfacing when you least expect them. She was right about that, just like she was right about so many things. I miss her every day, but I don't miss the lies anymore. Don't miss the performance. Don't miss Sunday dinners where I played the fool while they played me. Now my Sunday dinners are real, smaller, but real, and that's enough. Emma texted me last week, another plea to see the girls more, another promise that she'd changed. I deleted it. Some betrayals don't get second chances. Some actions have permanent consequences. She used my wife's photograph to hide her affair, so I used her own words to expose it. Fair trade, I'd say. The pot roast timer just went off. Time to get the table ready. Mark and the girls will be here in 20 minutes. Carol's bringing dessert. secret. Linda's bringing wine. We'll sit at the same table, in the same chairs, eating the same meal. But this time, everyone at the table will be exactly who they claim to be. No masks, no lies, no betrayals, just family, the real kind.